A very good morning. This is TP Venu from the editorial department of the Indie Global Media Network Media Center in Hyderabad. It is my distinct honor and privilege to welcome you all to the summit that is dedicated to one of the most pressing challenges of our time, waste management. Welcome to the Indie Global Waste Management Summit. In a world where environmental concerns are at the forefront of our collective consciousness, it is imperative that we come together and address this growing issue of waste, a problem that affects us regardless of our geographic location and socioeconomic status. Over the course of the summit, we will have the privilege of hearing from leading experts, visionaries, and pioneers in the field of waste management. They will share their insights, experiences, innovations, and innovative solutions to problems that plague us. It's about this particular summit is about fostering partnerships, forging collaborations, and creating a global network for individuals and organizations dedicated to addressing this critical issue. I encourage you all to actively participate, engage in open dialogue, and seize this opportunity to shape the future of waste management. Together, we can turn this tide on waste and create a cleaner and more sustainable world for all of us. Now, I take this opportunity to welcome Sudhir Gautam, CEO and founder of Indie Global Media Network. Sudhir, it's over to you.
Thank you very much, Venu, for this wonderful introduction. As Venu mentioned, it's a very important summit that we have designed where we'll see participation from top policymakers who are into this ecosystem of environment, waste management, sustainability, and we'll also see industry leaders, technology experts, and global leaders also joining us throughout this 2 day Indie Global Waste Management Summit that will be hosted today and tomorrow. At present, we shall start off with the inaugural session of Indie Global Waste Management Summit that has a star line of speakers who have joined us from across the country. So please join me in welcoming one of the top speakers who has led the Urban Development Department with the Government of India earlier, and he is currently serving as the chairman of AP Pollution Control Board. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Samir Sharma. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you, Sudhirji.
And we are also joined by yet another senior officer from the northeastern state Assam. He is an environmentalist by heart. He also he was the director for science and technology and environment. Now he's heading the Assam State Pollution Control Board as the chairman. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Arup Kumar Mishra, Chairman, Assam Pollution Control Board. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us. We are also joined by yet another senior bureaucrat who has recently headed and served as a nodal officer for several G20 meetings in the state of Assam, and he has passion towards environment and sustainability, and we will get to hear from him about the outcomes of G20 meetings in regards to green sustainability and environment. Please join me in welcoming Dr. B. Kalyan Chakravarti, Principal Secretary, Government of Assam. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us. We are also joined by yet another senior officer who is the CRI Environment Training and Research Institute with the state of Telangana. Join me in welcoming Srimati A. Vani Prasad.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for joining us. And we are also joined by a passionate officer who is heading the National Water Mission with the Ministry of Jal Shakti. Those who are following her on the social media platform and the kind of work she follows, they can understand the kind of passion she has towards the environment and the kind of initiatives that have been taken up in last few months and years that is showing results on the ground. Please join me in welcoming one of the officers who is Archana Verma, Mission Director, National Water Mission, Ministry of Jal Shakti, Government of India. Thank you very much, ma'am, Archana ma'am, for joining us. So we'll move on. We are also joined by yet another officer who has played a very important role changing the drinking water scenario in the city, metropolitan city, Hyderabad, where due to the water crisis, there used to be several water tankers plying. Now the scenario has completely changed, and now it is water surplus. The situation is completely the other way now. The officer who played a very important role behind this transformative initiative on ground and see the change in Hyderabad, the state of Telangana, none other than Mr. Dana Kishore, Managing Director, Hyderabad Metropolitan Water Supply and Sewerage Board with the Government of Telangana. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Dana Kishore. So, with this, we are also joined by yet another new bureaucrat who has joined with the government of Andhra Pradesh, Deputy Collector Vishakhapatnam, and she is a doctorate in hospital management and from IIT Trichy and academician turned bureaucrat. Please join me in welcoming Miss Rani Sushmita, Deputy Collector, a new bureaucrat of the government of Assam. Thank you very much, Dr. Rani Sushmita, for joining us. We are also joined by a passionate individual who has worked in regards to with Ministry of Environment. He also worked with the international organizations, that is UNDP, and several other organizations. Please join me in welcoming the Senior Program Director, Circular Economy, Center for Environment Education, Ministry of External Affairs, Government of India, Dr. Prabjot Sodhi. So we are also joined by Mr. Prabjot Sodhi. We'll be hearing all of these officers. So without further ado, let's hear out from our first speaker of the day for this inaugural session of India Global Waste Management Summit, Dr. B. Kalyan Chakravarti, who would be sharing with us the outcome of the G20 meetings that he has served as the nodal officer on environment and the outcomes, the policy outcomes of this particular meeting and the kind of initiatives that are going to be taken up on ground. Over to you, Dr. B. Kalyan Chakravarti.
Thank you, sir. As Samir Sharma sir is also listening to the to what I'm going to speak, please do correct me, sir. This is my understanding of the outcome of the G20s, and therefore, but environment is such a huge subject, and there is so much of learning to be done. And I will quickly try to go through whatever we have done in the state of Assam, and of course, a little bit I work in Telangana. While I also try and bring my understanding to what happened in G20 and what were the resolutions that were finally passed. But to give context to the whole thing, I would like to just go through the presentation while I speak. And Sudhir, if you could just put the presentation on. Yeah, the next slide, please. So I always begin with this slide, which for whoever the listeners are, that just as we look at the the human body in terms of its health, as to see whether the BP is all right, the blood pressure is all right, or the sugar, the creatinine levels are all right. Similarly, the health of the earth is measured by these parameters. Essentially, like controlling seven planetary boundaries. We can say nine planetary boundaries is what we see here, but the most important planetary boundaries which are affecting are shown. Are in yellow and orange, and those which are in green are relatively under control. So one of the things that we find from by focusing on this planetary boundaries is that we see that the areas of concern to us are the obviously the biosphere integrity in terms of the genetic diversity which is going down. We are all aware that we have about 2 million species. Some say about 8 million species, but what we have identified as of today, and we lose about 2,000 species per annum, 200 to 2,000 species per annum. The estimates are varying with regard to the extinction rate, but it's a race against time. And how we really take care of this biosphere integrity in order to maintain the overall parameters of the earth or the health of the earth is of the prime most concern. And the second thing, as we can see, is the biochemical flows, that is the nitrogen and phosphorus flows, which are even carbon dioxide is a biochemical flow, but we generally talk about the nitrogen and the phosphorus flows, which is of the second highest concern. And the third important concern is the land system degradation, as we see. As to we say across the world, about 30% of the land is degraded, and perhaps in India is also about 30%. It affects about almost half the population. It impacts almost all the jobs because of the fact that the land system is getting degraded. At the rate at which we are going, they say that within about 60 years' time, all the topsoil will be lost, and therefore that's an area of huge concern. And of course, the climate change, and we are aware of all the protocols, the important protocols, right from the Kyoto Protocol to the Montreal Protocol to the Paris Protocol, which were land-making protocols with regard to climate change. So this is the general area in which I think was the base document on the basis of which the G20 meetings were held. Next slide, please. And the G20, while discussing, and from whatever documents I've read, and in a sense, I've been the nodal officer, so I had the opportunity of interacting to understand as to what exactly was the manner in which the G20, the Delhi Declaration was going. And the vision document, which I see, had majorly four pillars, and it really addresses as to the planetary boundary concerns to some extent. But the two major most concerns of biodiversity and land degradation were the things that were basically addressed. And the other two pillars that you see, which G20 talked about, one was the circular economy and the marine pollution. They affect all the other planetary boundaries, and these are, in my opinion, low-hanging fruits. Circular economy and marine pollution are low-hanging fruits which can directly impact everything, and therefore I think they were taken as the two other pillars of G20. So the main two things that G20 was focusing on was land degradation, biodiversity. How do we really attempt to have a circular economy in place in these G20 countries, and marine pollution with its of course pollution, every pollution is important, but marine pollution was given the prime most importance as far as this G20 was concerned. Now these being the pillars. Now the question was with regard to what did we do. We in this particular declaration we set certain dates. Now the importance is not just the words per se, or the as to what was said, but what were the dates that were indicated, what are the timelines that were indicated, and what was the commitments made in terms of finance. These are the two things that one needs to look at. Now, when we have the dates set for the world as such and for the countries as such, then we are really talking about a trajectory, and therefore we are also talking about what we need to do on a year-on-year basis, and that impacts everything in terms of businesses, in terms of education, in terms of skills, in terms of the way in which policies need to be fashioned. So if we really have to reduce the land degradation by 50% by 2040, then it would mean that we need to follow a certain amount of afforestation. We need to follow a certain amount of rejuvenation mechanisms for the purpose of overcoming the land degradation. So we, of course, in India, we have done a number of things, like we have the Panchamrit program, we have the Amrit Sarovar programs, and India is taking a lot of initiatives on that. But this is just an indication of what needs to be done. The second is, of course, the biodiversity. In fact, I remember, Vani Madam is there with regard to biodiversity, and this is an area of huge potential, because it is also, I think, one of the key concerns of the entire world with regard to the rate at which extinction is taking place. So whether we do research, whether we are into developing tissue culture labs, whether we are into ensuring that we document it in terms of biodiversity registers, all these things are going to be extremely important. And as I will show in the next slide, that these are the things which will result in a great amount of jobs, and how the courses of universities, the courses of skill universities and education will have to be oriented towards a changing world, which is both a digital world and a green world. The third is, of course, they have said with regard to circular. With regard to land degradation, we have also come up. India has come up with its own declaration called the Gandhinagar Declaration, and with regard to marine pollution, we have the Chennai Declaration, which both these declarations were integrated, or the principles were integrated into the Delhi Declaration. And with regard to the circular economy, I think one of the things that became much more clearer was that we will follow the EU circular, and where in terms of the products which are having electronic products, the extended responsibility of the producers is going to be established. I think that's a very important thing. And in terms of circular economy, I think certain policies, since we are going to follow the EU circular, policies with regard to waste to energy, with regard to industrial waste, biomedical waste, with regard to the electronic waste, I think these things will become much more severe in times to come. And with regard to the marine pollution, the Osaka Blue Ocean Vision was stressed during the G20s. And the thing is, of course, the oceans being 70% of the total surface area have always been an area of contention in terms of mining, in terms of fishing rights, in terms of Antarctic research. There have been some concrete steps taken with regard to both pollution as well as the exploration of the oceans. These were the 4 pillars on which the G20 concluded its Delhi Declaration. Next slide, please. Next slide. So, since I was looking after also education, skilling, labor, cooperation, so I was looking as to what kind of jobs would be we need to really reorient, given what was the Delhi Declaration and the way the G20 is going and how the world vision is changing, and therefore what kind of jobs is that one is going to create in the future, like whether it is auditors for carbon content or financial tax planners, trading specialists in carbon, green auditors, the scientists who can reduce the carbon footprint in industries and elsewhere, water auditors. This is going to be, I think, these things look slightly, obscure at present, but they are going to be extremely important as we go in the next 5 years. And scientists who can really come up with how we can protect biodiversity, and how there are a number of models of climate change models. In fact, these things will become very, very important. Of course, India also came up with the concept of life management, like we have a dietitian, that life management specialist probably as to have a sustainable life will be a thing in the future. Next, please. Next slide. So this is a continuation of these of these roles. In fact, green energy, the things that India is looking at is both wind energy, solar, and also green hydrogen. In fact, in IIT Guwahati has taken a lead role in green hydrogen, along with biofuels and green hydrogen. We're trying to make a big difference in terms of making our environment, or meeting our commitment towards a global environment in terms of the green economy. Hydrogen, of course, green hydrogen is something which is completely non-polluting. But though we are investing, our country is investing hugely in terms of green hydrogen. It also impacts green hydrogen would also have an impact with regard to the water availability. Now, one way of looking at it is the output of, rather the final product when we use hydrogen as a fuel is water, which is non-polluting. But at the same time, it's highly capital intensive and also will require a lot of water in terms of converting it into hydrogen through pyrolysis or whatever technologies we use to get green hydrogen. And therefore, it's always a trade-off between water versus pollution as far as green hydrogen is concerned. But the other things are great opportunities. We are definitely looking at how we need to have specialists in circular economy, green building, in solar, in wind, in green hydrogen, and energy storages. Next, and I've also tried to indicate what kind of try to make an estimate. Just go back to the previous slide. What kind of estimate that we have in terms of the values. So, Sudhir, just the slide before, there was a slide in which I tried to say what was the kind of economy for each of these four pillars. Next slide, please. Let me see the next slide, kindly. Yes, the next slide. Next slide. The next one, please. Next one. No. The slide previous to this. Kindly. Sudhir, just slide previous. Previous slide. Previous one, please. No. Next one. Yes. That's it. So I just tried to put some figures here as to what could be the incomes that will, an indicative figure as to what biodiversity, those investing in biodiversity, what kind of jobs and what kind of businesses will happen in biodiversity. So we can see that it's a huge economy. It's a 10 trillion annual business value for investing in biodiversity. There is a huge business opportunity. There is an educational opportunity in land degradation. I think that would be the second most important thing. There's, of course, a huge opportunity in circular economy. I put some figures on that on the basis of secondary research. And, of course, like those investing in trying to address marine pollution also, there would be the figures that I have quoted there of 623 billion in net benefits. Yeah, next, please. Yeah. Some of the other important things that have come out of the G20 was linking up future cities in terms of these green cities. Also, like in terms of tourism to environmentally friendly cities. And also, one of the most important outcomes was with regard to, of course, like, the GCF or the Green Climate Fund, which was supposed to actually transfer the funds both for adaptation and mitigation, did not really take off after the Paris Protocol. And therefore, one of the reasons for that particular fund not taking off was that there were no standards set in terms of evaluation as to what measures are being taken by the various countries. And this time in the Delhi Declaration, they have come out with a mechanism to establish transparency, accountability, and standards of what we are achieving, of what each country is achieving in terms of the commitment it has made with regard to the climate change and with regard to the progress with regard to all these with regard to all the commitments they have made in the various protocols. So the standards were very important, and a mechanism to set those standards, because only when the standards are set and the assessments are definite, only then the fund flow will become more clear, and the pathways to the fund flow of the Green Climate Fund will become clear. Next slide. Yeah, this we have gone through. Next, please. Next plan, please. So I would like to next slide, Sudhi. I think this is a repetition. Next slide, please. So finally, the G20, while talking about these 4 pillars, they reiterated their commitment to the Paris Protocol agreements. All the developed countries committed that they, unlike the Tokyo Protocol, where some of the countries went back in terms of carbon trading, here they committed with that there will be a fund flow wherever there is necessity after the standards are established. So that commitment has come during the Delhi Declaration. Next one, please. Yeah. So I just give a few of the things that we could achieve in the state of Assam in these areas. Of course, in the state of Assam, I will give few of my examples, and I would like some comments on that. What we have done with regard to biodiversity, we tried to make biodiversity a part of all the schools in the state of Assam. We have asked, we get fund from the government of India for setting up youth clubs, etc. We have introduced a biodiversity register in all the schools. There are about 50,000 schools in the state of Assam, and we have introduced that every child should understand what is a biodiversity register and of the in and around surrounding areas. So we're popularizing that. Of course, the Chief Minister of Assam is aware of the issues of land degradation. In fact, this issue was discussed during the visit of Sadhguru, in fact, who has been championing the cause of, and Samir Sharma sir was also there, where we signed up an agreement with regard to land degradation. In fact, recently, the CM of Assam has gone on a Guinness record book spree of planting maximum number of trees. We, of course, did not match Andhra and Telangana, but we did a number of innovative ways in which we could plant trees, and we were very, very careful in terms of the nature of plantation that we did, because Assam already is a biodiversity hotspot. So we have done activities with regard to that. We have also introduced in Assam we're making infant steps with regard to introduction of a green budget, and we made some sort of commitment from all the departments with regard to what they're going to do with regard to the green budget. And the Delhi Declaration, of course, shows us a direction in which we should move. Of course, marine pollution is not directly related to Assam, but other things with regard to circular economy, with regard to land degradation and biodiversity are the 3 things definitely that Assam is going to look into very carefully. Regarding the university, that we are coming up with the skill university in the state of Assam, in which green skills are going to be one of the schools of excellence, where we will be focusing on the things that we have talked about. And these skills, of course, we would also be giving both in schools as well as in all the universities here, because the skilling for the university students in short-term courses in green skills is something that we in Assam are planning to introduce. This is what I had to say, sir. Next, just so that I don't miss out, just let me see the last few slides. Next, please. Next, please. Yeah. So this is what I had to say with regard to my understanding of the G20 India Summit, how we tried to encapsulate the concerns of the 9 planetary boundaries, the parameters where we were of concern, and how they tried to bring those 9 parameters into actionable points in terms of what they would like to do on those 4 pillars and set the vision for the future. I think that it's much more concrete than what was there under the other protocols, and the G20 has come up with clarity as to what each nation should do, and being the 20 most important nations, I think this will be a step forward in our work towards environmental safety, security, and welfare of the planet. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir, for presenting the kind of
presenting the kind of
celebrations that have,
deliberations that have
and we are glad
and we are glad
they have been taken up,
they have been taken up,
including the lot of declarations and a lot of green budget, and we are hoping things would go running on ground and transformation would happen. Thank you very much, sir. And I've seen you serving as a nodal officer for not one but many G20 meetings, including the youth, skilling, and of course for the green jobs and environment. Thank you very much, sir. And next up,
and
we are
next
also
up we are also
Archana Verma, Madam, Mission Director, National Water Mission, Ministry of Jal Shakti, and also Mr. Prabjot Sodhiji, who is the Senior Director with the Ministry of Environment. Next up, I would like to call upon an officer from the state of Telangana who has played a very important role in transforming the water scenario into a surplus state now. Let us hear the best practices and the kind of innovations that have been taken up through Hyderabad Metropolitan Water Supply and Sewerage Board that takes care of water at the same time the sewerage management in the city. Over to Danakishore sir, Managing Director, Hyderabad Metropolitan and Water Supply. Welcome sir, thanks for joining us.
Sudhir, good morning to you and good morning to senior officers. I see Mr. Kalyan Chakra with this beautiful presentation. He's been working with EPTRA here, so I know what kind of things he was doing here. I'm loading my presentation. Actually, I had some assembly committee meeting, suddenly it got cancelled. So immediately joined, it takes a little time for my presentations to get loaded. I'd like to at the outset thank the organizers, particularly you, Sudhir, for organizing this kind of a meeting and a workshop, which is very, very important for the entire country. If you're taken as a water sector, Niti Aayog report says that by 2030, has it been loaded? By 2030, the water demand in the country is going to double. If you compare from 1947 since independence, per capita availability of water is seriously decreasing. At the same time, more arable land is coming into practice of agriculture, which increases water demand. Almost 98% of our water goes for agriculture demand and industrial demand. Hardly 2% of water goes for domestic sector or other sectors in the country. And with this scenario, if you have all of you have noticed, NGT has been, and the Supreme Court mandated NGT to pursue with government, central government, and state governments to pursue with the state governments, and they have been imposing penalties on all the water utilities and state governments to push wastewater treatment in the country. With this, it used to be around 25 to 30% wastewater is treated. Around 2017, it was about it used to be around 18%. Right now, I think all the state governments have taken up this, and we are able to get around 30% now. One of the government defender reports says that 67% of water is still left untreated in the country. In this scenario, in Hyderabad, we're able to take up treatment. Recently we have engaged about 4 years back. We have engaged a Shaw consultancy from Mumbai to prepare a comprehensive sewage master plan. And I can confidently say that maybe January 2024, Hyderabad would be the first city in the country, or maybe a city in the country to treat 100% of sewage. This presentation is getting up. Yeah, just wait for 1 or 2 minutes for my presentation. Now, maybe I can. If you look into world over average. World over treatment of water, wastewater treatment is about 20% world over. If you look into higher income group countries like Europe and North America and all that, they're able to treat about 68% of wastewater, whereas in middle income countries, it's around 38%, vast drop. And then, lower middle income countries about 28%. And then poorer countries, it's just about 8% of water is getting treated. Whereas in India, if you come to, it's about 30% of water is getting treated in the cities. But if you add rural, treatments also, it seriously comes down to about 20 to 22% kind of a thing. If you look into this scenario, the challenge for India is that, we need to bring in investment. We need to bring in technologies that are, cost effective. That's where I think we are lagging behind. Any of the top 5 to 6 metros, treatment is about anywhere around 30% now. With this, the more important thing is how to generate finances for this. In Hyderabad, we have taken up hybrid annuity mode. Nearly 31 STPs are getting built now. In fact, by this month end, by September end, we will be making functional about 6 STPs with 300 MLD capacity. That's almost 50% of existing capacity. Maybe by every month, we are expecting about 200 MLD capacity to be added by, this is my presentation. I hope you'll be able to see this. Can this be seen, Sudhir?
Not yet, sir.
Yeah, 1 minute, please. Is it visible for them? Can you see this now?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yeah. So these are what kind of policy environment is in the country and what kind of technologies, what kind of innovations possible. Next slide, please. Yeah, a brief policy environment in the country and what are the water treatment statistics. Next one. Why STPs? Because I see a whole spectrum of people are available. I included it's a very basic one. 80% of drinking water and your borewell water, whatever you use, ends up as a sewage. Raw sewage has a huge bacterial and viral component. And recent COVID time, every city has reported this. All viruses. In fact, right now we are doing a kind of research with CCMB, we're sharing our water with them, and they're showing a viral profile is being built up in our city in wastewater STPs. Untreated water, of course, has huge pollution. It has impact on disease impact is there, and aesthetic concerns are there. And sewage as a part of circular economy has a huge role, particularly in our country, where, as I said earlier, almost by 2030, it will be our water demand increases means we'll have to depend upon sewage water, recycle it, and adverse impact on health and crops, livestock is very huge, particularly surrounding urban areas where water is getting into untreated water. Wastewater gets into fields of agriculture. It has a huge impact on crops, vegetables, and all that. Whatever we are consuming by unbeknownst to us, we are consuming a lot of pollutants. Next one. These are the statistics I was telling. High-income countries are able to 70% wastewater treated. Middle-income countries, upper middle-income 38%, and lower middle-income 28%. Low-income countries 8%. India wastewater treatment capacity in urban areas is about 30%, 33% somewhere, because last couple of years, thanks to NGT pursuing with us, we are able to build up a lot of capacities in major cities and minor cities also. And the world as a whole treats about 20%. So we cannot gloat saying that we are above world average, because the country of India's size, which Honorable Prime Minister says that it's going to be third popular economy, largest economy, we cannot remain at level, particularly taking into the consideration that demands for water in future is going to be very huge. Next. There is a policy framework in India, but it's not a full policy framework. There is no mandate, particularly that every city generates, or every urban local body, rural local body generating waste. Mandating it compulsorily by an act saying that this much you have to treat, or 100% you have to treat. This is not there. This is very important, considering that a huge population pressure on land and all resources like air, water, and land. This is very, very important for us. Unless this kind of mandate is brought in, it will be very difficult, considering it's a major source of pollution. Right now, 3 acts are able to govern this, giving kind of a guidelines or regulatory mechanisms are there, but they are nowhere the stipulates, apart from saying that what are the parameters that will be followed urban local body, suppose, or a rural local body produces such and such water, and treating the water treatment is there, but wastewater treatment, it has to be benchmarked and it has to be implemented in our country. Water Act 1977, Water and Prevention Control Pollution Cess Act 1974, provides a guiding framework through CPCBs and SPCBs. Largely, these are central pollution boards and state pollution control boards that are administering this policy framework. Water Pollution Environmental Protection Act is again an important act with its amendments, provide general guidelines like sewage standards, discharge standards, effluent standards. These are given not only for sewage, even for industrial effluents also. As per CPCB studies, water treatment capacity in the country is about 27.3%. It could be water treatment capacity, that is drinking water treatment capacity. This has enormously increased in states like Telangana, because of Mission Bhagirath programs. Every household is provided tap water. And several states are following this policy now. Maybe treatment capacity has increased, maybe 50% now. But the rider is that, the caveat is that, if you're increasing water treatment capacity for providing every household, the central government policy is providing treated water for every household, tap to every household, increases sewage generated also in the rural as well as in urban households. Sewage treatment capacity is 30%, but this is another story I'd like to show in next slide. The capacities are there, but actual operated capacities, generation, net capacity processing is very less. If you look at the first line, Amrit report 2017 says that about 846 municipal STPs are there, but only 64% is operational, which means that, and they also says that net capacity of processing, 30% of net capacity of processing is utilized among all the STPs. This is where Hyderabad has scored well, because there are certain issues here. Because you build in some many STPs, there are many operators for operation and maintenance. If you can bring in a single, again, it has to be mandated. There has to be a single or 2-3 major operational maintenance agencies. If they come in, they can bring in scales of operations, scales of economy. We are able to achieve 94%. Net capacity processing is there in the city of Hyderabad right now. 62 point, Government of India says that 62.5% water is untreated. This is a very important point. Our union, central, state and union and concurrent lists. Schedule 7 says that water is a state matter with a supervisory role for certain powers for union government. This is where they can give interwater river disputes, interstate river disputes, and all that. Central water tribunals, they can operate, but utilization water as a resource is entirely with the state actually. Let's say for irrigation, for drinking water and all that is the state matter. I think there is a certain amount of ambiguity is there that needs to be set right, so that the policy framework will become a rule framework, and then we can make it workable, because it becomes mandated, and every government, state government or local bodies have to follow that. National water policy, there are hardly 5 to 6 states. There is a national water policy 2012 is there for central government by Government of India. It lays more emphasis, it needs to lay more emphasis on wastewater treatment and the reuse of wastewater, provide certain benchmarking, certain percentages to be made compulsorily. Like if you look into certain countries like Singapore and all that, Singapore as a country, when it started, it was totally dependent upon Malaysia for water imports. Right now, they're independent of import of any water, because they use desalination, as well as some of their water is treated, recycled at the highest quality parameters. They're able to mix and they call it a new water. Outcome, these kind of policies are required for our country. It's no more a kind of a policy, it's a kind of implementation has to be done in our country. Very few states like Gujarat, I think to a certain extent, Tamil Nadu are able to do desalination and bring it into the water. And we need to look into this national water policy, and hardly 5 to 6 states have a water policy in the state levels. I think each state has to come with water policies. EPA Act, as I said, it has certain powers for discharge standards. And more importantly, in Amrit, fecal sludge treatment plants policy has been brought in FSSM. And in this also, few states have taken forward, leap, like Telangana and Orissa. We have developed a lot of fecal sludge septage treatment plants, because if you don't have STPs treating your sewage, and if you don't have a private STPs at your households, the septage that is highly embedded with viral and bacterial load can pollute your water bodies, pollute your agriculture fields, and makes your food, polluted actually. This is where I think a few states have taken a great leap. Next one. Now, what are the challenges in implementation for, STPs or wastewater treatments? Investment in wastewater sector is huge. Billions of dollars are required. Like right now, where investment around 3,800 crores is being invested in the city of Hyderabad alone. At that rate, I think it runs into maybe some $25 billion is some kind of a rough estimate for entire country. Operational capacities of existing ones need to improve. Several of the cities, they have operational capacities, but either due to design faults or terrain faults, or our sewer lines are so silted, we are not able to bring them to highest, at least 95 to 90% operational capacities have to be there. Processing capacities have to be there. And another problem is land availability and location of STPs is a huge problem we have faced in Hyderabad. In fact, right now, some 2-3 cases are going on in High Court. This is not in my backyard syndrome is very huge. So this is where you have to bring in new technologies. We're also talking about technologies here. Gases that come from STPs, even tertiary treated water also, STPs also. You need to scrub the gases that are coming. We are implementing that in Hyderabad, wherever STPs are next to households or colonies or settlements. We're implementing these gas scrubbing mechanisms now. And another important thing is tariffs for used water and drinking water are very, very low across the country. Not only, of course, in our country, everywhere, because most of the water utilities are public sector utilities. We're not able to bring in good tariffs for drinking water. And we can't imagine about what other kind of tariffs we are going to bring for used water, that is recycled water. But recycled water costs are comparatively less compared to drinking water costs because they're being imported from, transported from long distances. So tariff mechanism is something to be worked out. There is a need for a tariff regulator authority, like we have electricity regulator authority. Water tariff regulator authorities have to come into picture. I think that's going to be the, compulsory kind of environment in future. Private STPs are very, very important. CPCB has certain guidelines. If you have more than a certain amount of, maybe I think right now it's 20,000 square feet, you must have a private STP. They are there all over the country. Private STPs are, coming up because they are made part of building laws. Like when you sanction permission from urban local bodies, you make it mandatory that a certain, certain threshold amount of threshold beyond above a threshold, you must have a private STPs. But they're not being regulated. In Hyderabad, we are attempting it now. We have enumerated all of them. Almost about 60% of private STPs are functional. Some of them are not being functional because of, again, policy environment. There are no policies or laws for private STPs regulation. Maybe next month we will be bringing it out. Administrative Staff College of India is working with us on private STPs regulation. We have utilized our own Metro Water Board officers to survey them, and we have a certain amount of grasp on that. Now, what are the technologies? Huge technologies are there, but what is more important is selecting a technology with a less footprint is very important. If you look into STPs that are being built under National Ganga River Action Plan or JNRM, they have huge footprint because they have there are huge kinds of size of ponds you see for regurgitating water so that gases will escape into water. Now we are utilizing sequential batch reactors. Previously, where you require about 15 acres of land for maybe 100 ml of STP or 200 ml STP, we can build them in about 3 to 4 acres now. Some of STPs that are coming in, 134 MLD STP near Fatehnagar, it's a amidst of a city, we are utilizing just about 5 acres of land. That's because of technology footprints are very important. You cannot take more land because it's not available. It's very, very expensive. Even if you want to acquire, it takes a huge amount of time. What are the technologies available? Whole spectrum of technologies are there. But centralized large STPs versus decentralized STPs is very, very important because you need to protect our water bodies. We are going for a more centralized and large STPs on the river, but smaller STPs, about 17 lakes we have picked up and building small STPs there so that you can treat that and then let the water into a lake so that water has an environmental, water is available for them to sustain the lakes. Almost all the lakes are getting dead. It's a story all over the country. I think we need to go for decentralized STPs in the cities. And also there is, phytobioremediation techniques are there. There may be for smaller STPs, huge STPs, I think are very difficult. This is my opinion. And they're also equally expensive. They need huge maintenances. And then this is very important. You have huge operational capacity, as I was mentioned, but processing capacities are very less because nobody is monitoring them. So we need to have online monitoring or third-party monitoring, like agencies like environmental agencies, PCBs. They should be third parties monitoring, parameters of effluents and influents, and then how each STP is functioning. We have installed online monitoring, and few of the cities are also having this in the country now. So with this general policy, environment, and technological perspective, I'll go to Hyderabad, particularly what we are doing, how we're achieving 100% sewage treatment here. Next one, please. Next one. This is a map of Hyderabad city and where we get water. We are getting maybe water from about 150 to 100 kilometers from Godavari on one side, upstream, and Singur on this side, and Krishna on bottom. And my power cost itself is about 90 crores, which takes about 70% of my revenue generated. This makes it very important to tell you, if you have STPs within the city, it has to be done in our country that recycled water, used water has to be brought to the drinking water standards. A day has to come in our country, and I think it's not very far. You have to mix that water. I think to a certain extent, Chennai, they are doing in one lake. So utilization of recycled water, wastewater, flowing back into mixing of with our water and supplying it and making public accept that water. I think we need to get into that environment. For this, I think we need to work with our NGO partners and other institutions to make them realize this, be a public realize this. Next one. These are some stats on water supply and sewage infrastructure for Hyderabad. Next one. Right now, this is 770 MLD capacity was there in Hyderabad. Processing capacity is about 94%. That's because long-term single agency operates for all our STPs for O&M operations. So they're able to get a grip of all the STPs. They're able to successfully do it. And regular maintenance of sewerage system, desilting of sewerage system is very, very important. And if you consider the fact that there is manual scavenging has been banned, we need to get into mechanization. We have done it in the city. OCMS is there to monitor with us. And then we have a circular economy. Some models are there. I'll be telling you. Next one. Circular economy, let me tell you first, we are selling biosolids are getting sold now for farmers. We have entered into agreements with some of the companies, and local agriculture universities are helping us to sell this to the farmers. I think about 340 to 400 metric tons are getting sold. Recycled water usage is very less with us, just 5% right now. We are trying to increase it. But if you consider the fact that the treated water is being utilized when let into Musi River, that is picked up by the farmers for agriculture usage, then it becomes 25%. But if you take within the city, it's about 5%. Now, biogas being utilized in our, right now, we used to sell it earlier to some companies, but right now, methane fixation kind of project is going on. Maybe by December end, this will come into utilization with us. We have 2 megawatts hydroelectricity was being generated. And in the future, we have entered nitrogen phosphorus recovery is very, very important. Kalyan was there when he was in EPTRA. We had a workshop with the Michigan Lake Authority. I must thank Kalyan. He has invited them as a Director General of EPTRA, Environmental Protection and Research Institute. You have to look at their kind of a recovery. They nitrogen phosphorus recovery, blue-green algae they are able to produce. They're selling it as fertilizers. And this is going back into, if you look into, green fertilizers, basically, all our fertilizer industries, they are highly carbon-rich, carbon rich power is being used. Maybe this nitrogen phosphorus gets into our agriculture systems through sewage recovery. Maybe they'll be able to take care of a certain amount of greening the fertilizers. We have signed an MOU with Hyderabad. There is Agriculture University, Indian Research Institute, and Indraprastha University Research of an NGO. We have signed an MOU recently. We want research and bring in technologies so that this nitrogen phosphorus recovery can be done. If you don't do this escapes and it becomes eutrophication of your water bodies and lakes and down the level and a pollution. Solar power, we are floating a tender right now. 17 megawatt solar power panels are being, will be fixed maybe next 6 months kind of a time. Solar power will be produced in our STPs because you have huge areas are there. You have reactors on which this can be, solar power can be built. And hydrogen fuel extraction for wastewater is one thing we are tying with these ideas now. And we have 2 companies approaching us. Recently, I happened to meet, CSIR, Director General. She was also excited. She said that she will be helping us finalizing these technologies, hydrogen, green fuel, green hydrogen energies to be extracted from water. And already is to our minister, Mr. K. Ramarao, he says that this hydrogen green fuel cells can be manufactured here. We can utilize it in our battery of vehicles available for garbage lifting, sewage lifting, and all that. Maybe we can utilize these cells there, hydrogen fuel cells. We'll be able to bring in much more green energy into our urban fields. So that's one thing we're thinking about on circular economy. Next one. Fecal sludge treatment plants, co-treatment plants have been taken up in Hyderabad. There are about 7 plants are there. So there is a dialysis septic tanker is there. About 90 septic tankers have been empaneled, and we have a dialysis tanker number. Recently, I gave a presentation in Ministry of Social Justice, and we are bringing new technology here also, how to make septic tanks safe, and maybe I think that's also there. I'll be able to show you. Next one. Now, this is a comprehensive sewage master plan. Every city, urban local body or a rural local body, or the district as a whole for rural local bodies must have a comprehensive reports. They'll be able to estimate in a horizon years what kind of treatment wastewater will come and how to tackle with this one. If you look into this, 2036, Greater Hyderabad, the area, we are able to propose new STPs based on that. 415.5 MLD STPs have been proposed. And outside Hyderabad also, maybe next year we're going to take up these 744.5 MLDs, because urban areas, peri-urban areas, both are important, because every peri-urban area is fast converting into urban areas, and then we need to tackle right now. Otherwise, land availability, it's NIMBY issues, cost of your STP is going to be very high. City is divided into 10 catchment areas, 62 saver zones, and up to Outer Ring Road, we have 62 STPs are proposed, 31 STPs in city is being taken up right now. Next one. So these are 3 packages. We went in a ham mode. Next, please. These are the decentralized location of STPs. If you look at the light blue line in between. Sudhir, I hope you are able to hear me. Everybody is silent.
Yes, sir, it's audible and we can hear you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So
it is wonderful to hear you. Please carry on. Wonderful, wonderful, absolutely. Please carry on.
Yeah. So these are 3 packages of STPs. In the middle, there is a light sky blue line cutting across the city, is a Musi River. Our larger STPs are coming on that one. Out of that 350 MLD capacity of STPs, 5 STPs are getting inaugurated on 30th of September. 1 STP is already inaugurated about a couple of months back. All these STPs, except for 2, they will get operated by John 2024. And 2 STPs where we had a huge land problem. We could identify land, and still we're grappling with the honorable courts, but we identified alternate land. That is starting now. That may take about 6 to 9 months to construct. Next, please. Next. These are the some of the STPs that are ready for commissioning. There is a SCADA is provided, IoTs are provided, Internet of Things, so that we can monitor these STPs. Next, please. This is at Ambarpeta. It's a very huge STP is coming up. Right now, there is about 300 MLD STPs there, but we are providing about 220 MLD STPs coming up there now. Maybe this will take about another 2 months to complete it. These are old pictures. Next. Next one. So those are some of the STPs. Now, some of the technological inputs, how to bring in. Major issue is that our sewer lines, they're not getting regularly desilted. So we brought in mini sewer jetting machines for smaller machines also, smaller areas also. Next one. Silt getting, next one. Please. Next one. It's not coming through. Okay, now next one we'll show you. Silt carting is again important. We have a Dalit Bandhu scheme which is meant for scheduled costs. It's 10 lakh rupees is given as a totally without any kind of contribution, or they need not pay. We're utilizing them, bringing these vehicles so that silt can be lifted from manholes, and utilizing mechanized techniques like lifting of through grabbers, mechanized grabbers. This we're launching on October 2nd. And it also, we need to do some jugaad kind of a thing, because you have to bring in other departments, utilize their schemes, because urban local body alone may not be able to bring in this kind of investments, basically. That's what I'm trying to show here. Next one. Next, please. Next, I'm going to show a sewer crock. We have, worked with one retired engineers startup from Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. Retired engineers, we got into them. His alloys have been imported from Denmark or I think maybe Netherlands. They could bring in this. This will open up, and those wheels will be hitting onto the roof of the lumen of walls of the sewer lines, and it will chop out every hard matter. Most of that, roots gets penetrated. Our underground systems, I must tell you, our underground sewers, for that matter, water infrastructure as such are divided into A, B, C categories by international organizations. A categories are available means the A category is that they're able to maintain their underground water system, sewage, or water pipelines, and this is available in very, very few countries, like in Australia, Singapore, maybe Israel, Middle East countries. Even European countries and all that, they come under B category. We come under D category. We don't maintain. O&M is a huge problem. So we need to bring in new technologies, innovate them. Across the country, these innovations are happening. But we need to streamline them into a platform, major platform, so that entire country can adapt it. Once the sewer crocodile, we called it, and it can chop out all the wood and concrete materials also. It will make sewer lines, silt free for at least for 1 year. You have to see it to believe. We are expanding it to entire city now. Next. This is a robot. This is again a camera-based LED system. It will go into this and take photographs. And recently, Minister of Social Justice and Government of India, I think Urban Development Ministry, they have mandated these kind of cameras as well as instrumentation for the sewer maintenance. Next one. This is our diluent septic tanker. Next, please. You need to have safety protocol systems, annual maintenance system. GAS has to come in. Regular data analysis has to be done. Where sewers are overflowing, where sewers are stuck, and where your STPs are not functioning, there's a regular third-party monitoring, online monitoring has to be done. Next one. Utility mapping has to be done. GIS is very, very important for entire underground sewer systems and water systems. And this can tell you, maybe sensor-based, you can have to take up a small models now in technological way, because you don't have money or funding for the entire country, entire city. Small models, prove it, and bring in partners, startups, because startup environment is booming in the country. How to bring in startups so that they can bring in cheaper or cost-effective technologies for us. There's all these IoT. There's not a single chip manufactured in our country so far. So chip manufacturing, this IoT is very, very important, because they're all done in outside the country. They have a lot of customs duties, taxation issues are there. They become expensive. I think we need to work with startups in our country. Maybe our IITs, I think there are about practically, I think every state has an IIT now. We need to work with them. We are working with some of IIIT, as well as we are planning to work with Hyderabad IIT also on these issues. GIS is very, very important. Layered data is very important for you to understand your systems. Next. These are, some of the technologies. I'm going to show you how our septic tanks have to be cleaned, because you need to monitor septic tanks. Before you bring in at least 70 to 80% of wastewater is treated, you need to have intermediate measures so that your septage doesn't get into water, your underground waters and your aquifers, and it will not pollute you. Next one. This is a simple prototype model that's being done by one of the startups for us. It is a simple rotor in the bottom. It's a kind of a steel stick. It will have a camera. First what they'll do, they have brought in a bacteriological digester for the septage in the septic tank. They will pour in about 24 hours before. It gets digested. Maybe 2-3 days later, you can go with this. Even if you have concreted material, hard materials there, you can put a gas mask and test the gas there. Gas testing is also very simple, so this can be utilized, pulverize it, and then pump it out and take it to your FSTP or co-STPs, co-treatment STPs, and then try to clean it there. You need to do your own innovation, work with our institutions, particularly cities like major cities. We all have, research institutions are there. There are technology institutions are there. We need to work with them to bring in the new technologies now. Next, please. This is that kind of a septic tank with a pulverizer, solar panel kind of thing. We're going to maybe 2-3 months down the line, these will come in Hyderabad. Next, please. I think that's all I have for you to talk. But on the whole, what I say is that the environment in the country, I think, is slowly changing now. I think with the involvement of judiciary systems and the government of India and the monitoring and state governments getting active on this front, I think we'll be reaching anywhere around 60% of wastewater treatments, maybe in a couple of 3, 4, 5 years kind of a thing. I know my colleagues and other water utilities are really active, and the government of India they're all active on this, and these kind of workshops need to spread, and public awareness, utilizing NGOs to spread this awareness, so that water tariffs have to be increased, recycled water tariffs have to increase, make it mandatory for recycled water to be used. And we are working with CREDI and real estate bodies and industries to increase this recycled water usage. This is all from my side, Sudhir. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for sharing the kind of work that has happened on the ground. And I'm quite impressed with the technology that's being used and the kind of decentralized approach that has been taken up by the government of Telangana, HMWSSB. And it's quite amazing to see the technology that's being used on ground, even the sewerage lines that are, which has been an issue now. And one important aspect of this waste out of wealth aspect is also that is circular economy that HMWSSB and the government of Telangana has touched upon, that is through these waste, be it the recycled water, hydroelectricity, and also the various aspects that comes out of waste are being monetized and that are being in turn used for the further activities and operations. Thank you very much, sir, for sharing these wonderful presentation, enlightening. With this, we will move ahead with yet another speaker of ours who have joined us. Yet another speaker from the state of Assam, northeastern state. He currently heads the Assam State Pollution Control Board. He has done his PhD with the ministry, has done fellowship with the Science and Technology and Environment Government of.
Sudhir, can I interrupt? I have another meeting. So
Yes,
if this
yes,
is
ma'am.
going to take time, just schedule me at least after the speaker. I'm sorry, but I have to rush for another meeting.
Yes, yes, ma'am. After Arup, we shall do that. So I would call upon Dr. Arup Kumar Mishra ji. Over to you, sir. Please throw light on the waste management initiatives taken up in the state of Assam. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Sudhir. So right now, like many of the speakers, I'm also running out of time because you have put a lot of speakers in the first 1.5 hour session, inaugural session. Nevertheless, I'll try to rush through the presentation because so far as waste management is concerned, Assam did not have too many problems earlier. A lot of open spaces, a lot of rivers, streams, etc., and they were naturally taking care of everything. But the problems have now come in last few years. We have seen that a lot of problems are there. Can you see the presentation, please, Sudhir?
Not yet, sir. Not yet.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, now we can see it. Yeah.
Okay. So, as per the last 2011 census, our population is something like 3.1 crore. Urban population is roughly 44 lakhs. We have 34 districts and 2197 gram panchayats and 103 urban local bodies plus 1 municipal corporation, that is Guwahati. If you look at the status of solid waste management in Assam, you find that total waste generation, as per the last estimate done by PCBA and other bodies in our collaboration, we found that about 1284 tons per day total waste generated, and collection is about 1114. So if you look at that, then probably you don't find a very big mismatch. Roughly 85% of the waste is collected either from generation point for the institutional or industrial side, or door-to-door collection and source segregation at ward level. So all these things are done. Total number of words you can see here. I don't like to speak much. So we are basically taking it very seriously. As of now, after the 2016, all the 6 regulations on waste management have come. Most of our audience here, they know that besides plastics and municipal solid waste, also hazardous waste, biomedical waste, plastic waste, and construction demolition waste. All these things have taken a very big role. Now, my earlier speaker, Mr. Dhanakishore from Hyderabad, he in fact is sitting in the best place where waste management has been going on. Recently, this year, maybe 2-3 times I have gone there. I've seen the establishment they have done in the Inaugural area outside the city of Hyderabad. That huge facility for e-waste management is also coming up. It has already started doing works. So I do not say that we are at par with any of these states like Telangana or even Maharashtra or Tamil Nadu, but definitely compared to what we had earlier in the last 4 or 5 years, there's been a drastic change in the waste management scenario in Assam, and almost all 104 urban local bodies are taking it very, very seriously. So this is the NGT hearing was there, and then we had this status of solid waste management. You can see here what is the last hearing status about 4 or 5 years back, shown by the blue bar diagram, and the orange diagram is showing what is the current status. Definitely you can see a massive improvement in this, but problem which we are facing is the segregation of waste. In terms of segregation, you may have door-to-door collection 95%, waste processing 51%, collection 85%. But if you look at the table on the right-hand side, you will find that only 38% of the segregation is done. This is mainly because of untrained workforce and a lot of attitude problems on the part of the people who are working here. Rag pickers are doing their job, but when it comes to the urban local bodies and the people who are going to go for segregation, we find a huge gap in that area. So this is one area which we are taking up now. In terms of waste management, we have to look at both sides, wet waste management and dry waste management, in spite of repeated appeal to the people from urban local bodies, from PCB, our side. We have not been able to achieve it that people at the source itself, at domestic level, house to house, apartment, buildings, they do not put the wet and dry waste separately. Rather, they put, except some wards, there are some very proactive ward commissioners or ward functionaries who are doing it. But basically, we are not at that level. You can see how this processing capacity is available with us. Total 270 roughly tons per day capacity available, out of which processing plant in Guwahati itself is 50 tons per day. So we have to take some steps, and the government of Assam is taking some steps to mitigate the gap between the wet waste collection gap is there, which is being there. And you can see in the present budget, whatever was given to us for processing, etc., waste to compost plant in Guwahati has got 106.94 crore, and the windrows composting or pit composting, that is also a biomethanation plant in GMC, windrows composting, you have got about 182.28 crore rupees earmarked. And from this particular budget, already some work has been started, and then things are going on. Similarly, for mitigation of the gap between the dry waste collection, etc., you can find 30.89 crore given for operation maintenance and landfill facilities, etc., creation, and for material recovery facilities, including plastic waste management, we have got 69.92. Now, when I talk about recovery of plastic waste, let me tell the learned audience that Dalmia Cement Limited, which is doing a very wonderful job in here, they have a plant in Dima Hasao district in Umrangshu, and one plant in East Khasi Hills near Shillong. In these two plants, the legacy waste, which has been mined from the Guwahati Boragaon waste dumping site, it has been taken every day, 5 to 6 trucks, that means 10 to 12 tons of plastic waste segregated on the old mining site has been taken by them, and they are going for co-incineration and co-processing. Co-processing for manufacturing of cement, and co-incineration for substituting some of the fossil fuel for burning or heating the kiln. So this is a wonderful example where it's a win-win situation, and we are trying now very hard to go for similar type of situation in all the places. Another example I'd like to cite is that about 16 bigha, that is about roughly 5.5 acres of land have been reclaimed in the place Lakhimpur on the border of Arunachal Pradesh, extreme part of Assam. In Lakhimpur, ward number 4 in the city itself, they have all the bio mining has been done, an entire dump has been cleared. So all plastic waste have gone for recycling, and the organic waste has gone for composting. This is a very good example. So similarly now, Jorhat, Tinsukia, in Barak Valley, in Lower Assam, Dhubri, Gwalpara, etc., we have found that a lot of activities are going on because the success story of Guwahati dumping ground and Lakhimpur dumping ground has been publicized, and then all ward commissioners or all ULD people are trying to go for it. Next, we have got inert waste management. You can find inert waste management. Generation is like about 140. December last year, tons per day, utilized 0, gap is 140 itself. So in this area, we do not know yet what is to be done. Scientific landfill site in 42 urban local bodies have been sanctioned by government. Another 53 urban local body also have been sanctioned. And this is the first one is earmarked. Second one are 42 urban local bodies approved under Swachh Bharat Mission version 2. And already all the money has been released. And I'm sure work is going on. Titapur, one area near Jorhat and Gwalpara, they have already started the FSTP, fecal sludge treatment process, and the STPs in the like cities and towns. Next, please. Already I have spoken about. This is the picture I'd like to show. On the left, you can see biomining in Guwahati, which Dalmia cement is taking place, and biomining Lakhimpur. Lakhimpur waste, plastic waste has been taken to the recycling. We have got 19 recycling facilities, 19 in Assam, and they are all trying to work very, very hard in the stringent condition because type of machines, type of the system they have, you need a lot of like waste. But that much of waste is not coming from all these segregated sources. That is a big problem. Therefore, at times I talk to these people, recyclers, very qualified engineers, some of them my students in the engineering college long back. They say, sir, we have to bring the waste from outside sometimes, Bengal or Bihar or Jharkhand, etc., to run our machines here. That means even for recycling facilities or reclamation facilities, you don't have enough of waste here, though we know we have theoretically a lot of waste in the field. So this is the situation. Now, solid waste management in rural areas, you can see already these schemes are coming. Construction of waste collection and segregation facilities, distribution of waste collection vehicles by tricycles and battery rickshaws. Under governance scheme of Government of India, we have got biogas plants, which is for which we have earmarked 7.5 this year. And block level plastic waste management also, we have kept some 31.36 crore. That means in the history of Assam, for the first time in last 2-3 years, we have got adequate amount of money, and we don't have any complaint on that if we don't have any scheme to go on. In rural Assam, you can see we have target villages this year. Last year was 22,536. Already 489 villages have been completed. This presentation was made some time back. I had to present this in the Kokrajhar. There was an international festival in Boroland areas last 2 months back, and then probably this 489 has now gone to 550 or so. Similarly, for government plant also, completion 3 district, ongoing 2. Now it is all 5 have been done out of the 15. Similarly, block level plastic management also, 28 out of 196 all have been finished in this particular year. So detailed roadmap with technical assistance of NIUA and MOHUA, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, have been done. We are seriously working on it. We have VC meetings and review meetings very often, and we have given even importance to polluted river states, towns taken on priority of bioremediation. For your information, in 2018, Government of India, CPCB had said there are 44 river stretch in Assam, not the full river, some stretch, sometimes full river also. And even lakes like Diporbil, etc. in Guwahati also comes under this. We had 44 which did not comply to the required conditions, qualities. But now only 9 are remaining, 35 have been taken out of this list. And this is also because of Assam Pollution Control Board and the stakeholding agencies coming together and working on the field. Next. This is, you can leave this. Now, similarly, liquid waste management, this slide, liquid waste in rural areas also has now become a problem. You know that although there are not many industries like the developed states of India, where industrially they are very much developed. When I say developed, I don't mean any other way, but I mean A lot of industries are there, whereas Assam has got only a handful of 4 refineries, 2 petrochemicals, 2 fertilizers, 1 gas cracker, and then hundreds and thousands of brick lanes and stone crushers, and all these small industries, medium and small sector. So our problem basically is not on the village level for that, but now of late we have found that agricultural waste and water coming into the agricultural field because of rampant use of chemical fertilizers and pesticides, weedicides, etc., has created a problem. So this is like a model which we want to actually go. I've written one comment. Assam plans to follow the Haryana and Punjab model for community level sewage management. This has to be done in the village level. Otherwise, if we don't treat the sewage, if we don't treat the agricultural waste runoff from the field, then our rivers will never be rejuvenated. They will be never coming back. So out of this also, if you say soap peak manufacturing process, out of 1650, roughly about 700, 800 have been taken care of, and they are complete. Fecal sludge was never taken seriously in Assam, but I told you just now in Titagarh and Gwalpara, already our minister, honorable minister and minister of housing and urban affairs, they have gone and they have started this project. And although I wrote a project in Titagarh already commissioned. Second point, Gwalpara is under construction. It is not. Gwalpara has been already 2 months back has been inaugurated. It is working fine. Similarly, in 30 number of ULBs, tenders are floated for construction of FSTP, and this needs to be taken very seriously. Now, one very burning problem of Assam was the Sin-Sako bill, like Dipor bill. Dipor bill is like near the engineering college, and it is more or less now coming to the recovery level. Honorable Chief Minister recently has declared that by November we have to take care of the Dipor bill and make it fully navigable. There has to be some water sports there, and everything has to be there. So, but Sin-Sako is more burning problem in the sense that very sensitive issue, because hundreds and thousands of people, families, they were like having their residences there. Pakka houses were built in a Sin-Sako catchment area. You can see the bill on August 2023-22 on the top picture, and the bottom picture you can see January 23. And now if I take the picture after 2-3 rounds of they have gone for total removal of the people, and the encroachment has been removed. After this, probably the picture will look much better. This is one of the lungs of the Guwahati city. Like before, in the western part of the Guwahati city, on the eastern part out here, nearing Dispur and the Khanapara area, the Sin-Sako is one of the lungs of the Guwahati city, which has got huge carbon sequestration capacity and a lot of way forward for us. So my last slide, not take much time. Assam is committed for overall comprehensive coverage of solid waste management and wastewater treatment. State has prepared roadmap for comprehensive coverage of STP and FSTP infrastructure. Tie-up with NIUA for used water management has been done. UNICEF is also providing technical support to us. State has already ring-fenced more than 4,000 crore, I told you earlier, for the mitigation of gap in solid waste management and wastewater treatment as follows. This picture is there, how the money has been earmarked. Very soon, I think, after a couple of years, we can say that now we don't have any problem of wet, dry waste or wet waste or liquid waste or fecal sludge, etc. because all the parties involved in the entire process, urban local bodies, transport department, public works department, Department of Housing and Urban Affairs, industries, even forests for that matter, are all giving full support to the pollution control of Assam. And we are also trying to totally go for a new paradigm shift, so that these things which were earlier not given too much of importance, because we say we are a huge state with less population. We have a lot of open spaces, a lot of water bodies, 144 rivers besides Brahmaputra. So we will take care, nature will take care of the sludge and all these things, but it is not the case. We have to take it very seriously, and we are taking it very seriously. With this, I thank all of you for patient hearing, and thank you very much, Sudhir in Inaugural, for inviting me to this session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for this on-ground presentation in the state of Assam, and showing us the kind of work that's happening and the kind of allocation and your way forward initiatives, the plans that are laid in place Thank you very much for sharing this presentation and showing us the ground reality in Assam in regards to waste management and also water waste management. Next up, I would call upon two speakers I would like to mention now. One is passionate environmentalist by heart. She is now heading the mission as the mission director for National Water Mission, Ministry of Jal Shakti. Lot of works on ground. Let us hear from her. And post that, I would like to call upon Vani Prasad Madam, who is the Director General for EPTRI. She'll be talking upon the ESG, environmental, social, and governance, turning theory into action. And from Archana Madam, we would like to hear the kind of initiative that's been taken up on wastewater management at the national level, pan India, and the kind of water management initiatives that's been taken up. Over to you, ma'am.
She is from our Kerala.
Thank you so much, Sudhir, CEO Indie Global. And before I begin my talk, I would like to say that, a lot of the substance of my talk has been taken away by Dana Kishore, who has given a fab presentation. I'm really impressed, coming down from the macro to micro, and also by Arup Kumar Mishra ji, who's the chairman of the Assam State Pollution Control Board. And I'm so glad that, to see all the stuff that is happening in Assam, because I was principal secretary, urban development department in Assam, and it all started with the push, as rightly said by Dana Kishore, because of the NGT push that, as all the states have sprung into action. There is a case which is pending in NGT. If I remember the number correctly, it's 470, which is virtually breathing down the neck of the states. And it is to the credit of NGT that the waste management has been put on the policy map of India. And I'm so glad to see Kalyan, who has been a friend and a great environmentalist and a batchmate. So it's so great to see so many people from Assam today. And I also, Madam Vani, Dr. Rani, I can see on the screen. So my greetings to all of you. And I'm sorry for jumping the queue, but I have to go for another meeting. So before I begin my presentation, I always say that you can live without love, but you cannot live without water. So to me, it pains me to use the word wastewater. That's why in Government of India and Ministry of Jal Shakti, we have taken this sankalp that we will call it used water and not call it wastewater anymore. In sync, with the rich cultural and historic tradition of water, wherein in the Rig Veda it was called apas. Apas is plural of water. It was never water, which is up, but it was apas in the Rig Veda, because water was considered in all its plurality. Till, we dammed it in pipes and brought it to civilization for drinking and irrigation purposes, in which for India, the colonial rule had a lot of role to play. I'm not saying that, irrigation or bringing water to households is a bad thing. But what was done is that the natural ecospatial space which water occupied in our cultural heritage, and its proximity to people used to worship water like god, and so the purity of water was maintained. But with colonization and their belief that nature should be controlled, we got into a very, very man versus nature kind of policy with water, and our beautiful heritage of water conservation, of water treatment got very, very diluted. Perhaps it's needed also. But if you look at our ancient, water heritage under the National Water Mission, we have this Jal Itihas portal wherein 75 heritage in water we have put up on the website, and it's a beautiful testimony of the society's involvement with water in all its eco speciality. Without, cities were built around water. Waters were like, there was no Silsako Beel to be dammed or Deeper Beel to be dammed to for the cities to grow. It was in our organic movement where, and you have these beautiful baulis and step wells. Built during the medieval times, you have beautiful check dams. So having said all that, I feel that we should refrain from the use of the word wastewater for water, because water is something which is the nourisher of life. Water is something without which we cannot exist. Now, of course, when I say all that, does it mean that, the rapid industrialization, as Dana was talking about, or urbanization, or the increasing population, leading to our, vision of a 5 trillion economy, leading to consumption of water, do we have to, do away with that and go back to the pristine times? No. But when we are thinking of strategies for used water management, I keep saying, it has to be ecology friendly. It has to be in tune with the environment, where there should be no conflict between, man and nature. And after that, I was going to speak about the global trends of used water management, but I think Dana has already said, with the high income countries, harnessing more, and the low income countries harnessing less. We are harnessing overall around 30%, and the municipal bodies also by and large 28 to 30%. So first, when we speak of water, it has to be called used water, and that respect for water has to come back for us to, grow in sync with the times, in sync with the ecology and the environment which nourishes us. So, though Dana has already said, but since it was part of my speech, and we all keep saying that, I've grown up in Bihar, then my culture is Assam. So we think that water, we've seen water everywhere, and lots to drink. So we think that water is something which is infinite, but the NWIRCD estimates say that by 2050, 1180 BCM is the requirement, whereas our utilizable water, fresh water, is only 1126 BC. So that is a telling commentary on, if we don't use water judiciously, if we don't follow the tenets of the circular economy of reduce, recharge, recycle, uh, and respect. We have the 5 R's for recycling. We can, uh, just a moment, I'm getting a very important call. So we cannot, have, so our technologies for use water management should be for people, for communities, for ecology. It should not be for technology itself. Like, when I was principal secretary, urban development department, and there was this huge project which had just got shelved by JICA because they said that Assam doesn't want it. You all are not interested. It was around, I think, 1800 crore project by the Japanese aid agency, and it had got stalled because they said that, as Dana was saying, not in my backyard syndrome. Nobody was agreeing to having STPs set up in the place where it was proposed. So that's when we decided that, okay, we said, no, we will get you. So they said that unless each ward, unless all the people in the ward certify that this technology is suitable for them and they are willing to accept it, we will not go in for the renewal of this loan, and we will be canceling it. So you cannot imagine, we had to hold meetings in all the wards and get certificates, and then that's when I decided that let's not go for a centralized thing, because this not in my backyard syndrome and the politics of water is so huge that people can kill each other. So we went for these decentralized water planning. I don't know finally what happened to that JICA project, but somebody was telling me that it's been sanctioned. So that is why that when we talk of technology also, it should be a technology friendly for the people. And that's why awareness creation in waste, in used water management is very, very, or in waste management is very, very essential. Now, again, I was going to talk about the global trends, but Dana has already spoken about it. So I will just give an example. I was seeing a video today of Copenhagen. It's a wonderful waste to energy plant in Copenhagen. Uh, it has been built with 3.5 million Danish kroner, and uh, it's 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 the tallest and the cleanest structure in a flat place like Copenhagen, and it has skiing facilities, it has cycling facilities. People come there and enjoy themselves while the whole waste of the city gets managed there, and in the end they just generate steam, which sometimes, if you need ice, it converts to ice also. So I was amazed to see this technology, but yes, we have the limitations of resource, which rightly was pointed out by Dana again, that, in a country like India, maybe having 1400 Copen Hills may not be very feasible, because we have these challenges of resource management. And that is where when he was suggesting that, private partnership is very, very important. Now, coming to the initiatives of the central government, that too, most of it has been told by Dana again, but there's some initiatives, portions which I would like to highlight. That, the Water Act 1974, in its 88, in 1988, they amended. And what is revolutionary is that now citizens can call the state to action, and that is how the NGT cases got instituted, that citizens can take the state to action for not doing enough for water management and water pollution. So it is indeed a very citizen-centric act, our Water Act 1974. Then water cess was also there, but then that got removed because of GST. But one of the challenges, which again Dana has said, is that water is a state subject, and used water is a municipal subject. So the National Water Policy of 2012 is indeed very good, in the sense that earlier the policies were just concentrating on national strategies. But NWP for the first time came out for an integrated water resource management at all levels, be it federal, be it provincial, and also municipal. Because use water is basically, after the 74th and 75th Amendment, is in the domain of the municipal bodies. And that's why it's more challenging, because capacities, infrastructure, financing, resources, um, politics, everything gets more heightened at the local level. So NWP was also historic in the sense that it was the first time that environmental flow to rivers, was mentioned as a strategy. We also have the power tariff policy, where all of you may be knowing that all the thermal power plants are mandated to use the treated sewage water from STPs within 50-kilometer radius. So that is another policy that we have. And I would like to correct Dana on the conception that most of the states have not formulated policies on reuse of treated water. In fact, most of the major states have. The states which already have are West Bengal, Gujarat, Karnataka, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh, Rajasthan, Punjab, Haryana, Maharashtra, and Tamil Nadu. Sadly, Assam, from where I belong, does not have, and also Bihar, from where I come, does not have. So the states which have not formulated policies are West Bengal, are Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Bihar, Sikkim, Arunachal Pradesh, Assam, Nagaland, Manipur, Mizoram, Tripura, Meghalaya, Odisha, Telangana, Goa, and Kerala. These states don't have a pan-state policy. Now, what we have done is through Namami Gange, apart from CPCB, Namami Gange also has come out in November 2022 in consultation with Niti Aayog and various organizations of the Indo-European Union Water Partnership. It has come out with a national framework for safe reuse of treated water. And Niti Aayog also has a reuse of treated wastewater, they call it, for urban and peri-urban areas for agricultural use. And Arth Ganga, which is part of the Namami Gange initiative, also has a component for monetization and reuse of treated wastewater for irrigation and industrial purposes, and for which they have signed a lot of MOUs with ministries, PSUs for implementation of the action plan. Then we have, under the National Water Mission, we have set up what is going to be the game changer, which we believe in water management, is the Bureau of Water Use Efficiency. Sadly, we wanted it to be like the Bureau of Energy Efficiency set up under the EPA Act, but water being a politically very sensitive subject, we right now have it's just a part of the National Water Mission, as a wing of the National Water Mission. And the role and the objective of the Bureau of Water Use Efficiency is going to be to facilitate water use efficiency, develop standards, regulations, and assessment of water footprint. But most important function would be to bring in communities, to make communities understand the importance of water. Then we also have CWC, CPCB, also, which already I think Dana has said, so I'll not go into it, about this Swachh Bharat Mission Urban and Amrut. There has been a lot of talk. So as I said, the major challenge in waste used water management is not in my backyard, land, then water tariff. Somebody was positing as a suggestion, but it's not easy to seek water tariff in all places. Water being so politically sensitive that setting in regulatory policies may go down well with industries, but making it compliant for agriculture would not be so easy. Yes, smaller STPs, in my view, are the way ahead. And, if you only go for pricing, won't help unless there's demand for reused water. Because still there's so many misconceptions that people will die if they take reused water. It's mixed up with fecal water. So you see, communities have to appreciate that water is a finite resource, and they have to become a part in whatever strategy for used water management that we go forward with. We, uh, if community is, because it is such a problem setting up a STP. I myself faced it in Assam. In fact, they went to the extent of calling me anti-tribal because it was in a tribal area where we were setting up, and there was so much hue and cry that ultimately the MLA also complained to the government that we cannot set up the STP here. So it took, and the project went foot earlier, the JICA project, because of these problems of, community opposition and vociferous opposition. So in the end, we need all to participate if we want to go in for, a sustainable use water management. We need community participation. We need policies. Of course, we're also working on a lot of policies, but policies can only be implemented if people, are in sync with the policies. So social acceptance of this is very, very important, and that is where the Bureau of Water Use Efficiency will work, and that is how the NWM is trying to work with our 5 Rs of reduce, reuse, recycle, recharge. But most important, learn to respect water like you respect your mandir, like you respect your masjid, like you respect your gurudwara, like you respect your church. So that on that philosophical note, I would thank you, Sudhir, once again for inviting me here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. That wonderful talk and presentation which you have given. As you have rightly said, the respect to water has to come back, and it can happen only through the participation of all the communities together. And as you go by the philosophy, we can live without love, but not without water, as rightly said. And hope this message goes strongly across all the citizens in India. Thank you very much, ma'am. With this, I would like to call upon our next speaker. Sorry for the wait, ma'am. Ma'am had a meeting, a signing meeting, but thank you for staying back. Ma'am, Ms. A. Vani Prasad, Director General for Environment Protection Training and Research Institute in Hyderabad, would be taking us through the uh, ESG, turning theory into action. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you very much, and hate to say that I was also one of the speakers who was in a rush or something like that. Sudhir, congratulations for this excellent initiative from your side, because this is the most essential, and that too, to specifically speak about waste management is something I would really like to congratulate you about.
Thank you.
And may I give you a suggestion? You have lined up so many wonderful speakers who I would have personally loved to hear through and through. So probably you should have planned a 3-day session, or probably had the inaugural session much longer. Uh, I apologize because I really had some other program that I have some other program to attend. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. If I'm speaking earlier, I thought I was speaking late rather. Anyways, thank you so much. And well, we all know that the triple planetary crisis is something which involves biodiversity loss and pollution and climate change. And out of that, if you talk about pollution, it is this waste that we do not manage well that causes most of the pollution. That is the food waste or the C&D waste or the whatever waste that you can think of, the e-waste, the water waste. Of course, I know the strong emotions about terming anything as a waste, but yes, anything that we waste ultimately goes to pollute when it is not properly treated. But again, I agree with Ms. Archana in the sense that if waste is properly utilized, it is not a waste at all. It is a wealth, or it is a resource which can actually be harnessed for better good and for saving the planet. Because we know that a lot of waste that gets generated is increasing and in every sector, whether it is in food, construction, demolition waste, or e-waste, hazardous waste, biomedical, name it, and general food waste from home or the municipal garbage. These are all increasing by the day, as our development somehow has come to mean that a guzzling of resources and then just turning them into waste is somehow come to be a byword for development and consumption. So, unless we can tackle waste, the problem of waste, or have proper waste management technology, we are going to end up with a lot of pollution. As we all know, it's only 1 out of 10 people who can claim to be breathing pure air. And food wastage, it's still, even to this day, a balanced and nutritious food or diet is not actually available for more than 30% of the people. A balanced diet across the world for 30% of people is still not available. That having been said, the topic that you have suggested is about ESG. Now, understanding that there is a cross section of viewers and listeners, let me just say about ESG being the three verticals, the trinity, the tripitaka, whatever you want to say, of governance, of corporate governance. E stands for environmental, S social, and then of course governance. Now, this is nothing but a performance indicator, or it is a framework by which we can decide whether a certain unit, a corporate agency is something which is working towards sustainability, whether it has any goals or parameters in which it wants to work. So this has really caught on the imagination of the world. And let me tell you, in 2004, this word was first kind of introduced by the UN in its report, which said, "Who cares wins." That is, unless you care for the consumer, you care for the planet, you're not going to win in the long run. Otherwise, in case you translate it into pure economics means that you need to have resources. There's no sense in utilizing all the resources today. So the question of sustainability arises. So we need companies, we need producers who are responsible not only in production, we also need consumers who are responsible in their consumption. Now, this is a SDG goal. The Sustainable Development Goal 13 speaks about responsible production and consumption. So now we also need the producers or companies which stick to this goal. Well, if you break down this trinity of ESG, the environmental sector is what we will see. And of course, broadly, what it means is seeing that the carbon emissions are reduced, that you contribute to reducing climate change impacts, adverse impacts, that you look at GHG emissions, that you want to be water positive, that is, you don't use more water than you are able to recycle, and so on. So nature is something which is not wasteful. There is a purpose and use for everything, and there is a circularity in the process of using resources. Whereas the reason why we generate waste is because we are not using resources to their entire life cycle. We cut the life cycle. In a sense, in case we use the single use plastic, what we are doing is to create waste rather than use materials which can again be reused. In nature, if you see, whether any plant, organism, or anything, it dies and then it is back to nature as a compost. Similarly, the concept of circular economy is that which envisages that nothing is waste. You can extend its use. It can always be the waste of one industry can be the raw material for another industry. Now, having said that, the three pillars of ESG, which includes environment as one of the first goals, is something which by which a corporate or a production unit has to be kind of reviewed. Now, is it action or is it simply, very romantic or highly, to the extent of manipulating kind of, jargon which goes to just entice producers? Is that it? Fortunately, it is not. I think ESG is definitely catching up. It is not just about speaking things about sustainability, it is also translating into the kind of investments that corporates or production units or startups are attracting. See, every one of us, I think, I'm sure, we would be buying at least one or two products which says that this goes to, protect Earth. Or you buy something which goes to say that it does not use child labor. You do, purchase such products. So that is what ESG is. ESG stands for a lot of work to start with. It is almost a verb. It is not just, if used rightly, ESG is about building a framework, which is theory, of course, but the next part of it is all practice. In the sense, you got to collect a lot of data as to what an organization is doing around these three pillars of environment, social, and governance. Governance, we mean transparency, ethics, inclusivity, all those things. So ESG definitely is action in the sense it has to collect data of how these firms are running on these three pillars, environment being the most important. And secondly, it is also about attracting investment. So then now investors are people who are extremely conscious of the environmental impacts. In fact, there are many examples today. There's a lot of litigation globally and also in NGT, as other speakers have said. People are questioning about the impacts, the climate impacts or the pollution impacts of various production technologies or approaches of various production units or corporates. So, which means there is a setting for deciding whether you will invest in a company which is compliant to the ESG norms. So this is the way of future, and therefore ESG definitely provides a way not just for the theory part of it, but also for action. That is, investors compel that a certain products have to be produced in a certain manner, or certain products need to be encouraged, or that capital or crowdfunding is available now for planet friendly or economically viable and yet environmentally sound kind of technologies, products, and also advocacy. So in that sense, ESG today is certainly going into the phase where it is no longer just a jargon, and it is definitely something which goes on into action, because a lot of financing is now also with governors of the industries. As we all know that there is now compulsion under the social pillar to see that there is inclusivity, there are women representatives in the board of governors, that there is a sustainability factor built into it, there is transparency, then there is consumer awareness that has to be taken care of, safety, and so on. So when all these things are being built into the ESG framework, it becomes but necessary that firms and also consumers look at these aspects in a much more dynamic manner. Well, there are a lot of theories and surveys being done. We know that the most popular one is the Morgan Stanley's, capital investment MSCI's grading that is given to corporates from AAA to triple C. They give grading to 2,400 companies globally as to where they stand in terms of ESG contribution or ESG compliance. So that being the case, more and more investors are watching out for companies which are compliant to waste management as well. Now, singling out of the entire environmental pillar, what we can talk about waste management is this. Right now, waste management is something which is of utmost importance for two reasons. Number one, as we said, if it is untreated, it is pollution. It is pollution, it is killing marine life, because ultimately there's no place you can throw away waste from this planet. It only goes into your oceans or into your water bodies, or into your the wastewater or the polluted water goes into your groundwater. So there's no way you can throw it out. Therefore, the most important thing in waste management is the outcome related to reducing pollution. And the second one, of course, is about retrieving resources. Now, there's a lot of talk about using resources which have been used. That is, you do not use virgin materials if you want to survive or see those products longer. We all know that a lot of minerals are going to be out the way we are consuming them. Coal or fossil fuels, these are not going to be there forever. Therefore, there is much sense in seeing that you conserve these resources. Lot of materials, earth materials, which go into earth metals, which go into a lot of our phones, tablets, and so on. These are all finite. They're till, of course, you find something of a very big mine or something. These are very finite. These are very limited. So the problem with this is that you got to use these resources very, very judiciously, and not in a way that you're going to finish them and then you don't retrieve them, so that they go to pollute your soil, because these are all hazardous waste materials, mind you. The hazardous waste materials are only going to create a lot more problems, health hazards. Therefore, waste management under ESG is important for resource efficiency. Why do we have to conserve the resources? Is because if you use them, there's going to be a scarcity, and when there is scarcity, there's going to be a huge price rise. So, this is a risk management that all the companies have to make. 60% of the production cost certainly goes into buying raw material. And if this raw material is going to be scarcer and scarcer, because with every use you're generating more waste and throwing away the materials that you are able to source from the earth, then it doesn't make sound economic sense either. Therefore, the second aspect that ESG is focusing on, and investors are also encouraging, is about efficiently using resources. It is next thing is about seeing that there is a lot of risk management. In case there is a stoppage of supply of these resources, you're going to have a huge disturbance in the economy, scarcities and price rise and the growth imbalances. And as we know, lot of countries are import dependent on many resources. Therefore, it makes good sense that investments are made into waste management so that we retrieve them. But unfortunately, just about 8% of entire materials that are used are the recycled materials. So there's a need to increase this also. And it will not happen unless the investors, the consumers, start thinking in these lines. I'm sure your efforts and a lot of effort going around the world will go to increase the consumption, the management of waste in such a way that we recycle it, that we reuse, and we conserve whatever materials that we are using. Um, I thank you for the time that you have given, and it is indeed an excellent subject to discuss on. And I congratulate you, wish you a good success, and may you contribute to environment in much bigger way through many more such conferences. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, ma'am, and we are glad that you stayed back. Sorry for the wait. You had to push that MOU signing event that you had, and I can hear through my team members and the kind of work that EPTRI Hyderabad has taken up, and will certainly highlight those in the coming events and the coming articles and interviews that will be coming to you soon on that. Thank you very much for that. And as you rightly said, we are happy. ESG is no more a jargon, it is into action now. We're happy for that. Thank you very much. Now we will move on to our very senior officer. Thank you very much, Sir, for a long wait, I would like to call upon Samir Sharma, sir, who is the chairman for AP Pollution Control Board. Sir, thanks for bearing with us for such a long wait. Samir Sharma, sir, he has served as the secretary, joint secretary for the Urban Development Department, Government of India, and before the chairman, AP Pollution Control Board, Samir Sharma, sir, has served as the chief secretary for the government of Andhra Pradesh. We are privileged to have you, sir. Sir, we would like to hear from you the kind of initiatives and the best practices AP Pollution Control Board has taken up in terms of waste management and the pollution control. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Sudhir. Thank you very much. And, I'll start with several studies which have been done by Lancelot or even the UN is showing that we are way behind meeting our SDG targets by 2030. And even the global warming of 1.5, already in urban areas we have crossed it. For other day, there was a study done in Hyderabad where the difference in temperature between one area to another area, which is called the heat island effect, is around 2.5 to 3 degrees. But there's a lot of difference for the climate. So keeping this in view, what I will talk is now the time has come for actions. We've been talking of generalities, we've been talking of concepts and all this actions. So if we have to take actions, what are we supposed to do? And all the things I'm going to tell you is the actions we have taken. And after lunch, there are sessions in which our officers from the Pollution Control Board will dive deep into those actions and be available for answering a lot of queries. Well, so let me start with what Kalyan had said about the overarching principles which were brought out in the G20 declaration. These could be divided into 5, as Kalyan has said. The first is land, second is biodiversity, third is the circular economy, fourth is marine, and fifth are the SDGs. So there are these 5, we could say, broad overarching action points. Now, how do you drill down these action points to actually doing it on the ground? So let us take up land. Now, what we are doing in land is, our motto now is clean soil, clean air, and clean water. So when you come to land, there are 2 components which are of immense concern to us, and which is clean soil plus clean groundwater. How do we do this? We follow a principle called the real-time monitoring. Now, the real-time monitoring principle is like this. We try to replicate the human eye, ear, hands, and nose through IT. So, in the human body, when you see something, a message goes to your brain, the brain integrates with your motor function, and your hand or body or legs react. So, what we are trying to do is we are using extensive sensors, we are using all sorts of digital equipment at the front end, which are eyes, ears, and this message goes immediately, and in real time we are telling those industries and other polluters, please take care and stop it. So you see what has happened. Instead of penalizing them, we have moved it to real time prevention, because that is the aim. The aim is not to penalize them. That is something for the incalcitrant people, those 10%, but 90% comply. So that is the first thing we've done. So the principle which comes out is the real time monitoring. Now, the other components of real-time monitoring are: you ensure timely alerts that are sent to violators, give them a chance to rectify, act only if they don't rectify, and also levy environmental compensation. The pollution control boards have the power to levy for environmental compensation. Why should NGT do it? We are authorized, we should do it. If we cannot handle it, then it should go to the NGT. Okay, that is land. The second is biodiversity. Now, as you know, biodiversity is coming down because, again, our action points are clean water, clean oil, and the third is this mixture of high rising temperature and rising pollution. This mix of rising temperature and rising pollution is perhaps one of the worst things for biodiversity for animals, including humans. Now, what do we do in this? In this, again, what we follow is the real-time monitoring. The first principle, which I had earlier said for the land, is the real-time monitoring. And real-time monitoring, how do we do now? We're also going to do real-time monitoring of temperature. So, we are going to disseminate information on real-time temperatures in cities which are the heat islands. So you'll have the real-time temperature, you'll have the real-time pollution, and also we are going to disseminate about the wet bulb thermometer. The wet bulb temperature is very important. What matters is the wet bulb. At a certain level, human beings stop sweating. If you don't sweat, your body capacity to adapt to environment ceases. So that is the other part we are doing. Now, the third is the circular economy. Now, circular economy, I'm telling you two things which you're doing. One is the biomedical waste management, and second is how we are implementing the EPR in plastics, batteries, and e-waste. So EPR has been there on the books. Now the challenge is how to implement it. Our officers will be telling you soon how we are doing. We saw the entire end-to-end chain, and then now we are able to track those 6 7 major categories of plastics which you see all around when you go to villages or these ungainly sites when you go to cities. You see bottles, pan masala sachets, milk sachets. So how we are linking it to PIBOs, PROs, and the processors, they'll be telling you. I don't want to go into the details because they'll be giving you details. The third is biomedical waste. Again, what we found in biomedical waste is very surprising. There were severe pain in the link between generation of biomedical waste based on the bed occupancy and the final disposal in the facility. There was no way to track that connection. So the entire connection has been made. And again, our officer will be telling you about. Marine, we already have a strong system of multiple checks and balances. But here also what we are doing in Marine, we are going for real-time management. So you have 4 or 5 people using a common marine outfall. We are going to put our real-time management system and get real-time information. And these sensors, etc., will be under the control of the Pollution Control Board. So this will be the redundancy added to prevent pollution of marine areas. Now, the other part is that the ESG, which she had spoken about. Now, ESG also, we have, it's a very esoteric concept. So how to convert which people think is a fad to something which is very practical. So we have given 5 categories into this: energy, water, waste, procurement, and biodiversity packaging. And we are asking the industries at their level to assess what is the use of energy, for example, what automated systems they have to control the energy use, do an energy audit, do employee education, then make an action plan to reduce this by, say, at least 10 to 20% on their own. Tell us what is the action plan is there, put it on the website. So this is how we are now, actualizing ESG, which is basically a very esoteric concept. And when I was in corporate affairs, all this came out. They have the NBGs, and the SEBI has also mandated 1,000 companies to give out their information to SEBI and all that. Now, the last is SDGs. See, SDGs, the action happens at the local level. If there are anemic pregnant women, there are anemic girls, there are stunted children, we have to tackle at that level. And I'm also actually chief executive to the chief minister on SDGs. But since that is not the focus area of this conference, I'll not be talking on that. But I bring the localization principle. So 5 things which Kalyan had said: land, biodiversity, circular economy, marine, and SDGs. And the 5 principles which can sort of make it into action: real-time monitoring, EPR actualization, end-to-end monitoring and real-time action, then ESG and localization. So 5 things, 5 ways to make it happen. That's all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Glad to know there is a real-time monitoring that is happening, and at the same time, the ultimate idea is not to penalize, but to bring that behavioral change, and so that they too on living up to the norms controlling the pollution. Wonderful, sir. I with this I will move ahead to our last speaker of the session, a young bureaucrat, academician turned bureaucrat, and a PhD holder from IIT Trichy, especially in the hospital management. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Rani Sushmita, who would be talking about medical waste management briefly. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank thank you, Sudhir. Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, thank you, Sudhir, for the opportunity. And, I'm very overwhelmed with the esteemed guests who are present in the panel today, especially Samir Sharma, sir, who actually curated our training schedule here in Andhra Pradesh. So, thank you, sir, for this opportunity to speak in front of you. And, yeah, coming to the topic, actually, as even Achna ma'am has said, many points have been covered by Dana Kishore sir, but still I'm trying because I have worked in the topic during my PhD. So I'm trying to focus on some things, even which sir, even Sami Sharma sir has came up with such solutions as well in biomedical waste, especially and hospital waste. So coming to, I'm not sharing PPT because many slides have been discussed. So coming to biomedical waste, the hazardous waste are mostly around 15%, and 15%, and in which ultra hazardous waste will constitute around 3 to 5%. So the main problem arises to stop contamination of hospital waste is with that 2 to 5%. And we have very strong biomedical waste disposal policies with 5 revisions after COVID-19, with 10 categorizations of different waste disposal mechanisms with color coding. So that was all there. The policy is very strong, but as we get into the issues, as sir has really identified the crux of real-time monitoring. Even I was going to tell the same thing. Real technology, especially tracking and backtracking technology, should be used for every biomedical waste, because after pandemic we have seen the biomedical waste is not a separate entity. It is part of urban waste management now, and it is culminating to widespread of diseases if at all not tackled properly. So we can also use innovations technologies, especially from DST, like plasma technology. What it will do is, usually it will incinerate waste at very high temperatures, around 2000 degrees centigrade, and the gases which will produce it through it will be again, what they'll do redox reactions, and based on that they'll release only the neutralized gases into the atmosphere. So that is like total zero waste emissions using that technology, and we are very fortunate enough to entering into that technology, plasma technology. And coming to the road ahead, what we need to do is proper tracking, backtracking, and proper waste management plans we should be having, and waste minimization as well. And coming to the circular economy, as sir has spoken, so if we see the hierarchy of waste management, so basically waste starts with disposal, like whatever we don't have, we'll dispose it, right? But the ultimate, or the ultimate aim of any waste management is prevention of waste generation itself, but that is quite impossible owing to our huge population. So what we can do is the penultimate step of waste minimization and the circular economy steps like reusing, recycling, and refurbishing. So currently many of the countries, including China, including Africa, also are refurbishing waste. Like for example, if you take like the basic diapers itself, there are many households which will dispose diapers just like that, without any proper treatment, pre-treatment. So we can actually make vendors responsible here. So they should be keeping smart dustbins, and they should be collecting the diapers from the consumers. That can be one solution. And one more thing is, we can actually pre-treat them and can dispose them later. So as simple as diapers can be disposed with various solutions. And coming to refurbishing of waste, we can also create silos from encapsulated waste. Like all the treated waste will be encapsulated with building materials like cement or plaster of Paris, and that can be used for further construction as well. And just now we spoke about plasmark technology. The output of it is nothing but slag, which is a neutral slag, which can be used for again construction of bricks and road laying. So using all these technologies, actually definitely we can control, and at the same time we can refurbish and reuse many of the products using advanced technologies. So with that note, and thank you for having me here, and thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for all the dignitaries who has spoken today. And it is really empowering to see such wide platform with all the varied solutions and policy heads at one place. And thank you again for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rani, for those in-depth insights which you have shared. And as we come to the end of this inaugural session, we have a very important part of this inaugural session where out of several those leaders who are working on the ground, there is something called Indie Global Award Ceremony. We would be felicitating some of the awardees who have been working on ground and could bring transformation through their leadership, through their technology and their work on the ground. So with this, before we give the token of appreciation to our esteemed speakers of the inaugural session, we will go ahead with the brief Indie Global Award ceremony. With this, I would like to call upon my colleague, editorial head for Indie Global Media Network, TP Venue, to take over. Over to you, Mr. Venue.
Thank you, Sudhir. It's a great honor to now announce the Indie Global Awards. It is the practice of Indie Global Media and every conclave. We give awards to people and organizations who punch above their weight and make a difference to society. More so in the realm of waste management. Now, I would like to first invite G. Mahesh, environmental engineer, Korutla Municipality. The Excellence Award is given to Korutla Municipality for restoring a 11th century stepwell built by the Polavasa rulers that lay neglected and had turned into a dumping yard.
Congratulations.
Can we have G. Mahesh? Sudhir, it is just going to take a couple of more minutes.
We can move on to our next awardee.
He's on his way, just a minute.
So
I would
just
like to, I would like
Yeah.
to also add over here that even in Hyderabad, there are a lot of step wells that have been restored. Especially in Secunderabad, last year there was a step well that was restored and has today become a hub for tourists. Likewise, in the old city of Hyderabad, there are around 14 step wells in a radius of around, say, just 24 kilometers. And all these are going to be restored according to the grapevine.
give the background of these award selection, there were jury members out of the hundreds of nominations that have poured in, both from the government and the private side. It have been monitored closely
Yeah,
about
the
the
response
implementation.
was overwhelming in the sense that there were some municipalities, very small ones also, are doing really great work. So much so that, from some municipalities, we received 3 or 4 nominations, but we had to zero down on any one. And it was very difficult because, for example, if you take the case of this particular award we're talking about, that is the Korutla municipality. They have done a wonderful job with this particular step well by restoring the step well, because it was, even the locals did not know about the particular step well for a long time, because it was filled with garbage. And then today, like some of the other step wells, as I mentioned earlier in Hyderabad, even here people are flocking to the step well yesterday. Is it come? Okay, now I think it will take a little more time. In the meanwhile, we'll go to the second award. The Excellence Award over here is in plastic waste management, and we would like to invite P. Ramanjula Reddy, Municipal Commissioner, Suryapet Municipality.
Good morning, sir. I am attending.
Yes, sir. A very good afternoon, sir.
Sir, thank you, sir.
Congratulations.
Congratulations,
Thank
sir.
you, sir. Thank you, sir.
This Excellence Award, the plastic waste management, is awarded to Suryapet Municipality for promoting plastic waste management in a sustainable manner by converting the plastic waste from the city into pavement tiles and bricks, which can be used for laying footpaths in parks and gardens.
Congratulations to the awardee. Wonderful work on ground. So, any one word you would like to mention to the audience and who have joined us from across the country, sir?
Thanks, sir, for the selection of award for your department. We are very thankful to you.
Okay, wonderful, sir. Venu, let's move on to our next awardee.
Yeah. Can I call Mr. Ganges Reddy, MD and CEO, Blue Drop Enviro Private Limited, please? The Indie Global Excellence Award is presented to Ganges Reddy, MD and CEO, Blue Drop Enviro Private Limited, for leading the company using environment-friendly technology in waste management and fostering well-researched and tested methods of water purification. Can we have Mr. Reddy?
The managing director and CEO for Blue Drop Enviro Private Limited has been doing some amazing work where their technology, which is environment friendly, has been doing rounds, and they use the natural plants in curbing the used water or the polluted water waste, and they are giving a second life to the water, we can say. Mr. Ganges Reddy, Managing Director and CEO for Blue Drop Enviro Private Limited.
Here we would also like to mention that the award and the certificate will be shipped to all the awardees within a week's time.
Do you have Mr. Ganges Reddy?
Is done.
Good morning, sir.
Very good afternoon, sir. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Mr. Ganges Reddy.
Thank you very much.
Would you like to mention a few words about your technology, Mr. Ganges?
Absolutely. Thank you very much for recognizing and for the footwork that you have done in shortlisting candidates. We are very glad to receive this award. Sustainability has been largely talked about, and several advisors that actually advise things, but there are very few people who are actually implementing things on the ground. And we are very happy to share that we have been able to significantly contribute to environmental sustainability by bringing our low carbon, low emission, easy to operate, sustainable treatment systems that many clients are able to easily adopt and treat their wastewaters. We are considering that this can be a next revolution because we are literally creating green infrastructure instead of electromechanical filled high energy systems. So these kind of recognitions would certainly help us move forward in spite of the challenging business environment. We appreciate these times and we look forward to working with you.
Yeah, then thank you very much, Mr. Reddy, for your contribution to the field of environment and the kind of leadership that is driving the Blue Drop Enviro Private Limited. Let's move on to our next
Now
award.
can we invite Mr. A. Sampath Kumar, Municipal Commissioner, Siddipet Municipality.
MD and CEO, Blue Drop Enviro Private Limited. Good afternoon, sir.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Sir.
Sir, I express my heartfelt thanks to giving award for Siddipeta municipality for processing wet waste collected from households, sir. This behind this achievement, our Minister Sri Harish Rao sir efforts are very much there, sir. With star commitment only, we achieved this total processing of wet waste by producing biogas, sir.
Yeah, for the information of the viewers, the Indie Global Excellence Award is given to the Siddipet municipality for utilizing organic waste and processing it without discharging it back to the environment. The municipality converts 25 TPD organic waste to bio-CNG.
Congratulations, sir. We move on to awarding.
All the awardees within a week's time.
Now, can we have Rajesh Mallam, Chief Medical Officer for Health, Greater Warangal Municipal Corporation, please?
Yeah.
Hello, good afternoon, sir.
Thank you, everyone.
First
Thank
and
you,
foremost,
everyone. Thank you
congratulations.
to the Indie Global Network. Thank you so much for the Indie Global Network.
Now, this award is given to Greater Warangal Municipal Corporation for developing sanitation resource park dedicated for fecal sludge treatment plants in Ammavaripeta. The treated solids and wastewater are used as soil conditioners and watering the plants. The plant is operated by Women Self Help Group.
Congratulations to the entire team of Greater Warangal Municipal Corporation and to Dr. Rajesh Malla.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Rajesh.
We have established this sanitation resource park with 2 fecal sludge treatment plants. Actually, this is the waste is treated by the thermal as well as the geotube technology. And one important thing is that this is maintained by our self-help groups. As of now, from the till August 2023, we have treated almost 8.4 million liters of collected fecal waste. And this treated solid and wastewater will be used as soil conditioner as well as watering and plants inside the SRP itself. So thanks to Indie
Wonderful, sir.
Global
Wonderful
Network
job.
for recognizing our efforts, and thank you so much.
Thank you very much. So, with this, we'll move on to our next awardee.
Can we now have Janil Shah, Director, Magnatory Ventures? Good afternoon, Mr. Janil.
Good
Congratulations.
afternoon, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Would you like to say a few words?
Yes, sir. We, Magnatory Ventures, are into bioremediation of water. We can treat any sort of organic sludge and silt in the water and things. We are masters and we have a breakthrough technology. Okay, and it's a very new and type. We have got such a technology where we don't require any machinery, any power, or any human nature also to be intervened, and with very efficient and very low cost, we can treat the water contaminations and the things. As Mr. Dana Kishore sir told, the demand and things are getting rising in day by day, and the treatment of water is untreated. More than 67% of water is untreated in India. So I think we would be the right people to get into it and help things to get things sorted up.
That is the prime
I
reason
would,
you're getting the award, sir.
that is true, sir. And I would really like to thank Mr. Lokesh Kumar, sir, ex-commissioner Ms. Pamela Satyapati, madam, and special thanks to Ashok Samrat, sir, who has always believed in us, and we have been doing a fabulous work over there, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
For the benefit of the viewers, we would like to inform that bioremediation of Malka Cheruvu at Uparapalli in Hyderabad was done by
Wonderful.
So
Magnatory
we,
Ventures in association with the Hyderabad Municipal Corporation.
yes, sir.
Congratulations once again. With
Thank you
this,
so much.
we move on to our next awardee.
This is the last award for the afternoon, and our team members also tell us that we all, apart from this, we missed out on one particular award. We will also be, doing that. So this is not the last one. So just to keep you informed. Now, can we have K. Falgun Kumar, Municipal Commissioner, Manikonda Municipality?
Yeah, very good afternoon. Am I
Very good
audible?
afternoon, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, congratulations, sir, for this achievement, the kind of work which you have done and brought about change.
Thank you so much.
The Inaugural Excellence Award in Processing Municipal Solid Waste is awarded to Manikonda Municipality for effectively treating municipal waste at Vatti Nagulapalli Dumpyard. I hope I got the pronunciation right.
Yeah,
Sir?
you got it right.
Right, thank you.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, sir. Just to
Thank you
inform
so much.
you, the award and the certificate would be shipped to you within a week's time.
Thank you so much.
Now, can we have not the last, but the first award actually? Last but not the least is the common refrain. So, using that, can we have G. Mahesh, Environmental Engineer, Korutla Municipality, please?
So the
There seems to be a technical glitch, Sudhir, at his end, and he's unable to join.
Okay, so congratulations to Korutla municipality for the award, and this award is being given to for restoring 11th century stepwell built by Polavasa rulers that lay neglected and had turned into a dumping yard. Now that has been restored. Congratulations to the Korutla municipality for this wonderful achievement, and we wish them well and they continue to do the amazing work. With this, we conclude our award ceremony along with the inaugural session. We would like to thank all our esteemed speakers, a token of appreciation to all of our speakers who have joined from across the country, from Government of India, Delhi, Ministry of Jal Shakti, and also government of Assam, government of Telangana, and also several other states who have joined us. Thank you very much. With this, we'll be seeing you in our next panel discussion, that is on the municipal solid waste management policies, opportunities, and challenges. See you next in the next panel discussion. Thank you very much, everyone.
ಯಾರು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಚಾನ್ಸ್